We are at a meeting of the Garden Club. Look at these lovely flowers. This particular species is called, these flowers are, those flowers are on the hat of Mrs. Flora Carver, the president of the Garden Club.
And so, ladies, I regret to tell you that I must resign as president of our flower club.
I'm sorry.
Ladies, please. And now the chair is ready to accept nominations for the new president.
Mrs. President, I would like to nominate my nearest and dearest friend, Mary Franklin.
Well, I would like to nominate my nearest and dearest friend, Janet Archer.
Order, ladies. Please, ladies. Please. Ladies. Please.
What is it?
You're in the society column. Mrs. Harry Archer and Mrs. William Franklin have been nominated for the presidency of the Garden Club.
Oh, that.
The election will be held by the board of directors at their next meeting. Golly, Mum, Mrs. Franklin won't have a chance against you.
Corliss, neither Mrs. Franklin or I care who's elected. It's really not that important, dear. It's just our little garden club.
Oh, wait till Daddy sees the paper. He'll be so proud of you.
Do you think he will?
Of course. I think I'll put it at his place.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. Pancakes, and nice big ones. Let me have one, will you, dear?
Yes, sir. Coming right up.
Well, just one right now.
Thank you, Mom. Pardon me, Daddy. Pardon me, Daddy.
Well, what do you know? Clarence Gary has bought the old ice plant.
Oh, Harry.
I read it. And may the new president of the Garden Club never go to seed.
Well, Mary and I don't care which one wins. Did you see all the nice things they said about Mary in the article?
Mm-hmm. Pass the cakes, dear.
Okay.
Holy cow!
Dexter, what's the matter with you?
Oh, look what's in the paper.
Look what's in my lap.
Sometimes you do things, well, I just don't know.
Yeah, but your name is in the paper.
What? Where?
Right here, see?
Mary Franklin is just...
Gosh, Mom, it sure is a shame you have to beat your best friend.
Dexter, Mrs. Archer and I don't care who wins the presidency of the Garden Club. There's no jealousy or rivalry involved. It doesn't make any difference who's elected. Neither one of us cares at all. As a matter of fact, I haven't even thought about being president.
Well, okay.
Okay. Breakfast is now adjourned.
Of course, Mrs. Franklin hasn't thought about being president. Well, she hasn't thought very hard about it. No harder than Einstein thought about the theory of relativity.
Is that you, Dex?
Yep, it is I, the one and only Dexter, coming to you in the large economical family size. And next time you're in your favorite market, be sure to say, make mine a Dexter. And remember, scientific tests prove that only a Dexter contains that secret ingredient. Me.
Do something for me, Dex.
Oh, sure, Corliss.
Did you get it?
I got it.
Look up the number at Morgan's hardware store, will you please?
Sure, Gosh, Corliss, you're so cute and pretty and lovely and beautiful, and you top it all off by being a girl.
Will you look up the number, please?
Number? Oh, sure. Let's see, Morgan's hardware store. Here it is. Maine 1122.
You're so sweet. Will you call it, please?
Oh, sure. Gosh, Corliss, when I'm around with you, I feel so strange. Sometimes I even hear things, like a buzzing in my head. There it goes again.
I hear it, too.
You do?
It's the phone. Busy, see.
Oh. Gosh, I'm lucky to have a girl like you.
I'm lucky, too.
I keep hearing things. You know, Corliss, I'd do anything for you.
Would you really?
Anything.
Call Morgan's hardware store again.
Oh.
Before you do.
There it goes again.
It's only the cuckoo.
Oh.
Dial it again, will you, Dex?
Corliss, will we still feel the same way about each other, I mean, after we're married and have children and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Mr. Morgan. This is Dexter Franklin. No, I'm not sick. No, Corliss wants to talk to you. Oh, hold it, Corliss. There's something I want to order. Hello, Mr. Morgan. No, this isn't Corliss. This is Dexter. Oh, well, listen. Do you have any real nice gavels in your store? You do? Well, I want to order one. Uh-huh. Will you put it away for me? I'll be down and get it later. Okay. No, here you are, Corliss.
Hello, Mr. Morgan. This is Corliss Archer. I'd like to order a gavel, please. A real nice... You ordered a gavel, too.
Well, sure. My mother's running for president of the garden club, and I thought I'd make a nice present for her when she's elected.
But that's the reason I'm buying one.
Well, that's really very nice of you, Corliss. My mother will appreciate it. I mean, any president can use 2 gavels in case one breaks.
I'm not buying it for your mother.
What are you doing, collecting gavels?
I'm buying it for my mother. She's going to be elected.
Hold it, Mr. Morgan. Corliss, I don't like to say this, but well, your mother doesn't have a chance of being elected.
What?
Of course not. She's running against my mother. In a minute, Mr. Morgan.
How dare you talk that way about my mother? I demand you apologize.
I apologize?
I don't accept. Goodbye. I never want to see you again, even if we make up.
Yeah, but Mr. Morgan, Corliss, hold on, both of you. Don't be mad.
You heard what I said. I never want to see you again.
Corliss, if you never see me again, our children will never have any parents. Hi, Mr. Morgan. And she's gone. She got mad over nothing. Women. Oh, you know what I mean, huh? Oh, you're married. Well, Mr. Morgan, let me tell you what happened. You see, well, Mr. Morgan, let me tell you. Well, Mr. Morgan, your wife? All this morning?
Seems like Mr. Morgan is having a little trouble with his wife. Well, every marriage has its good days and its bad days. Its happy days and its unhappy days. No wonder so many husbands are walking around in a daze.
You don't have a thing to worry about, Mrs. Franklin. You look beautiful. And you know me well enough to know that when I say you look beautiful, you look beautiful.
You're sure now? I want to look my best for my acceptance speech. Does it give me that certain you-know-what?
You know me, Mrs. Franklin, and you know when I tell you something, you can believe me. You'll have that certain you-know-what, and plenty more, too.
I've got to look lovely. You know the garden club.
If anyone should know, I should know. And you know I know.
You know how I love her, and I never say a word against her. I just couldn't. But Janet just isn't presidential material, if you know what I mean. Now, don't get me wrong. Mrs. Archer's very talented in a number of ways. But she is rather limited in the important things. She doesn't know anything about parliamentary procedure. She couldn't be president because she just doesn't know.
No!
Oh, no!
I may not be presidential material, but I intend to be president anyway. If you know what I mean, and I think you know what I mean. Florence, I think you better turn the dryer on. It's getting too hot for Mrs. Franklin.
Too hot? I haven't turned it on yet.
And now, back to Meet Corliss Archer.
Hi, Bill.
Oh, hey, Harry.
Say, how about those two women of ours, eh?
Oh, they're acting worse than those two kids of ours.
Imagine arguing over the presidency of a garden club.
How about that?
Yeah, the worst of it is that the garden club board voted a tie. Neither one of them got elected.
I know.
You know, Bill? We've got to settle this whole silly argument.
Well, I'm willing.
Well, now, the way it stands now, the board is deadlocked. And it's up to Mrs. Carver to cast the deciding vote. But no matter whom she votes for, it means trouble for us, right?
That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, now, if you could get Mary to withdraw, then Janet will be president. And at the end of a year, I would get Janet to resign and Mary be president. And that way, they'd both be presidents and, well, the whole silly thing would be settled, right?
Why, that sounds pretty good, Harry.
Don't hit me then.
Gosh, Harry, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Now, look. If you'll talk to Mary and I'll talk to Janet, maybe
Just
between us...
Just a minute, Harry.
Huh?
Yes, just a minute.
What?
I'm sorry. But it might work out a lot better if you got your wife to withdraw. Then at the end of the year, I'd get my wife to resign...
Hold it, Bill. I thought we agreed that your wife was going to be the first to withdraw.
I agreed to nothing of the sort. Sorry?
It's all right. There's no need to be stubborn and childish about it.
I'm not being childish. All I want to know is why my wife should be the one to withdraw first.
Because I thought of it. You deliberately tried to hit me.
I did not.
You did too.
If I'd have wanted to hit, I'd have hit you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah?
Well, let me tell you something, Franklin. These fence posts belong to me, and I don't want you driving any nails in them. You hear me? After you, Mrs. President.
After you, Mrs. President.
It was so nice of you to invite me to luncheon. But all these calories...
Well, what are a few calories between friends?
Oh, I really must watch my weight. Do you know that I weigh almost 120 pounds?
No.
Well, give or take a few ounces.
You carry yourself so beautifully, I'd never have known.
Oh.
Mrs. Carver, My wife admires you so much. And now that I've met you, you've made another conquest.
Mr. Archer, I think you're a bit of a rogue.
And you've made such a record as president that I don't see how anyone could hope to follow in your footsteps.
Well, you know, I have been tormented about how to cast my vote. Mrs. Franklin is such a nice lady, and your wife is so charming. But entre nous, that's French for between us. I think I favor your wife just a smidgen.
Oh, I'm sure you've made a wise decision, Mrs. Carver. Another piece of cake.
Oh, well, of course, I really shouldn't. But I really should go.
My good old friend Harry. Harry, how are you?
Goodbye.
Mrs. Carver, how très charmant you look.
Oh, Mr. Franklin.
You don't mind, do you?
Well, we were just leaving.
Mrs. Carver, you simply amaze me. You look younger every time I see you.
Couldn't we just stay and have another cup with Mr. Franklin? No cream or sugar this time. I really must watch my diet.
Oh, you on a diet with that figure of yours? Why, it reminds me of the stem of, Sididua, the prairie rose, and your cheeks have the delicate coloring of Pompiera.
I didn't know you knew so much about roses.
Oh, Mary just lives and breathes roses. She taught me everything I know.
Well, shall we be getting along?
Why, only this morning, our acicularis flower. And you should see how our Ivagata is doing.
Oh, my favorite.
Mary's, too. Oh, you two have so much in common.
Where did you get so much information?
Why, just this morning, Mary told me that if you cross a Gallica with a Chinensis, you get a Fetida.
Oh, Fetida! Oh, think of that.
Oh, I'm constantly amazed at Mary's knowledge of horticulture. And she's such a leader, too. Why, she has all the women in the neighborhood raising Fetidas. Now she's working on tea roses and hybrid perpetuals.
Oh, how clever of her. You know, hybrid perpetuals are so difficult for me.
Why, I can't believe that. Mary says you are utterly wonderful with roses.
Mr. Archer started out trying to charm Mrs. Carver, but it looks like she ended up by making a hit with him.
My precious rose, my cavatheria. Now, here's a little drink for you, darling. Here you are. There. A half a degree too low.
Hiya, Mrs. Carver.
Close that door.
What'd you say, Mrs. Carver?
Close the door. My rose will die.
Oh, close the door. Oh, right away, Mrs. Carver. Yes, ma'am.
Do something. Do something. If you've done anything to hurt this rose, I'll... Young man, I've spent 4 years, 4 long years, nursing, protecting, cultivating, loving this rose. If it takes 10 years, I'll go to a gym till I've got strength enough to strangle you.
Gosh, Mrs. Carver, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
stuff the wind?
Yes, Mrs. Carver. Oh.
What are you doing with that moth-eaten plant?
Well, my father sent it over to you as a little present.
Oh, he did he? Well, give it to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you get out of here before Oh, it can't be.
What's the matter, Mrs. Carver?
My own Rose, the Carbotheria. After 4 years of waiting, it's blooming. Oh, it must have been the change of temperature that did it. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at it. Just look. Oh, just look. It's so beautiful. Oh, I can hardly believe it. My
What rose?
Oh. It's gone. Oh, my Carbotheria. It's gone. After 4 years.
I guess it's safe to say that Mrs. Carver and Dexter are on the outs. He drove her out of her mind. Her dream of winning the prize is out, and now she's out. Cold.
I'll get it. I'll get it.
Oh, I'll get it. What, shall we toss a coin for it?
I'll get it.
Why, Mrs. Carver.
Hello, Archers. I came to tell you that I've decided to vote for Mrs. Archer.
Oh, Mrs. Carver. Oh, Mom, I'm so happy.
Congratulations, dear.
Won't you come in?
Thank you. You know, I really owe you all an apology. To think that I ever thought of voting for anyone who had a monster like that Dexter in the family.
What's wrong with Dexter?
Well, now I know why the people from Mars don't come down to Earth. They've heard about him. He's dangerous.
I don't think you should talk that way about Dexter. He may not be the smartest boy in the world, but he makes up for it by admitting it.
Will you have a minute? Oh, thank you. Well, then it's his mother's fault. After all, she could have done something to help him, like losing him in the woods or teaching him to walk against traffic lights.
Mrs. Carver, Mary Franklin and I may not see eye to eye, but no one can say she is not a good mother.
No, thank you. Well, then it's his father's fault. After all, if Mr. Franklin would spend less time being a good-time Charlie and more time with his son,
Mrs. Carver, Bill Franklin is not a good-time Charlie. It just happens he's a very fine man, a good father. His reputation is beyond reproach.
So, that's the way it is.
What's the way what is?
Evidently, it doesn't mean as much to Mrs. Archer to be president of the garden club as I thought it did.
Well, if I have to hear my friends maligned, then I'm afraid it doesn't mean very much to me.
Well, then I guess there's nothing more to be said.
I'm afraid not.
This way, Mrs. Carver?
I'll find my own way. Good night.
Janet Archer and Mary Franklin are two of the most devoted members of the Book Review Club, and every Saturday you will see them at the weekly meeting. The president of the club has just announced that she is resigning and has asked for nominations for a new president.
I wish to announce that I'm resigning from the club.
And that goes for me, too.